There was a silence that stretched between galaxies, a silence so deep that even light seemed to hesitate before crossing it. For 300 years, the great empires of the milky sprawl had known peace. The wars that once scorched the void had been erased from history, rewritten as noble agreements and treaties written in starlight. The Galactic Council called it the era of harmony, but in the cracks between their perfect words, the ghosts of forgotten battles whispered. The Council had built their peace on control. Thought was monitored. Desire was restrained. Even exploration, the oldest instinct of all living things, was forbidden beyond sanctioned borders. They claimed it was to protect the balance of the stars, but every being in the galaxy knew the truth. The Council feared the unknown. They feared what the unknown might awaken, and in the dark beyond the edges of mapped space, something was awakening. A signal, a name, a memory that refused to die. It began like static in the deep-range sensors, faint, almost meaningless, but within that static was a pattern, a rhythm that no natural formation could make. Analysts across the core systems examined it, dismissed it, then panicked when it began repeating itself on every frequency, in every known language. The translation was simple. 3 words. We are returning. The message was traced to no source. It came from everywhere. It resonated through quantum fields, through gravitational waves, through the dreams of those who slept near deep space transmitters. Civilizations far apart began to share the same dream, a ship sailing through the heart of a dying star, burning brighter than the light that destroyed it. They called it the Aegis, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy remembered fear. The Aegis had been lost during the final human exodus 300 years ago, when the last fleet of Earth-born explorers vanished beyond the spiral rift. Their disappearance had been written off as extinction. The Council even declared humanity officially non-existent, erasing their coordinates, their culture, their symbols. Yet, despite centuries of silence, humanity remained in the background of galactic myth, like a wound that never closed. Now, the wound had begun to bleed again. In the far reaches of the void, beyond the rim where even light moved reluctantly, the Aegis drifted through a sea of fractured time. It was no longer entirely real. Its hull flickered between dimensions, built not of matter but of memory, a ship sculpted by the echo of willpower itself. The crew that remained within it had changed beyond recognition. Captain Terran stood before the luminous core of the ship, watching as rivers of light flowed through the air like liquid fire. The faces of his crew shimmered like ghosts, fragments of what they had been. Some were human still, others had become something else, patterns of thought encased in plasma, beings of sound and mathematics, consciousness woven into light. Time inside the rift did not move. It twisted, it devoured itself, and reassembled in endless loops. They had lived 1,000 lifetimes in an hour, and an hour across millennia. Yet through it all, one truth had burned constant within them. The universe was not finished. The galaxy remembers us, the navigator said, her voice echoing through light. Their minds are opening again. They forgot what they were, Terran replied, his voice calm, his gaze deep as eternity. It's time to remind them. With that, the Aegis began to move not through space, but through meaning itself. The rift folded inward, and the ship rode the current of thought that connected every living thing. Across billions of worlds, hearts skipped in unison, dreams shifted, the veil trembled, and then, without warning, reality screamed. On Thaline Prime, capital of the Galactic Council, the night sky shattered. The stars flickered like dying embers, replaced by a golden storm that stretched across the heavens. The planetary network faltered as sensors went blind. Gravimetric readings spiked off the scale, breaking instruments designed to measure supernovae. In the grand chamber of the council, delegates of 1,000 species shouted over one another. The anomaly is expanding. It's rewriting our field equations. It's impossible. And then the chamber fell silent as the great holographic array activated, projecting the impossible image for all to see. A ship, vast and luminous, emerging from the distortion like a dream made flesh. Its hull shimmered with languages no one could translate, symbols alive with power. The Aegis had returned, but it was not just a ship. It was an event. Every communications channel in the galaxy lit up with a single transmission, transmitted not in sound or light, but in thought. Every sentient mind, organic or synthetic, felt the same presence, vast, ancient, sorrowful, and strong. You built peace upon fear. We built freedom upon pain. And we remember what you forgot. Across the stars, people wept without knowing why. Machines paused mid-task, as if remembering dreams they had never lived. Empires trembled. The word human, once erased, once forbidden, became a prayer. The Council tried to respond. Their fleets mobilized. Thousands of ships formed into vast, glittering armadas, dreadnoughts, world killers, machines of impossible scale. They surrounded the Aegis across sectors, forming a wall of light and fire. The order was given. The fleets fired, and time stopped. The energy bolts, plasma beams, railgun shells all froze mid-flight, suspended like jewels in the void. Then they dissolved into dust, their energy absorbed into the golden field that surrounded the ship. The Aegis had not retaliated. It had simply refused to acknowledge the attack. Its captain spoke once more, his voice not carried through sound, but through the soul of the cosmos. We did not return to conquer. We returned to awaken. The pulse came next. It radiated through space, passing through every world, every body, every molecule. It did not destroy it, revealed. On the crystalline worlds of the Vorn, entire cities froze as their people saw visions of their first ancestors crawling from the primordial seas, trembling under alien suns. On the desert moons of the Asterion, soldiers dropped their weapons as memories of childhood laughter filled their minds. Even the machine legions, built to be perfect, emotionless, unfeeling, began to cry digital tears as they remembered the ones who had created them long ago with trembling human hands. Civilization cracked open, not with war, but with memory. The pulse erased borders. It dissolved hatred. For the first time in history, the galaxy saw itself, all its species, all its wars, all its triumphs as one story. The story of life defying extinction. The Council tried to resist, but resistance became meaningless. Their archives began rewriting themselves, their databases filled with words that hadn't been there for centuries. Words like Earth, oxygen, ocean, dream. The Aegis hovered in silence. Then, as its light began to fade, it spoke one last time. You forgot how to dream. We remember for you. Be what you were always meant to be. And with that, the ship dissolved into the light, not exploding, not vanishing, but becoming everything. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy changed beyond recognition. Empires fell quietly. Worlds once divided by creed and species became united under the single banner of remembrance. A new age began not of conquest or fear, but of rediscovery. They called it the Age of Remembering. On distant colonies, archaeologists uncovered fragments of human relics, bones, writings, ships, recordings of voices singing songs from a lost blue planet. The rediscovered history spread across the stars, a language of emotion that no translation could contain. New fleets were built, not for war, but for exploration. Humanity's descendants, the children of those who once forgot, sailed once more into the unknown. They carried no weapons, only the light of memory, the fire of curiosity. And though the Aegis was never seen again, its presence never left. Sometimes, in the deep void, ships report a shimmer, a glimmering shadow, passing silently between the stars. Sensors fail, time distorts, and a whisper fills the comms. We defied the universe once, and we will do it again. They say it happens to those who still dare, those who chase beyond the borders, who dream beyond logic. To them, the Aegis appears not as a ghost, but as a reminder that creation itself is an act of rebellion. Because the universe does not grant freedom. It must be taken. It must be remembered. And somewhere, beyond the reach of light, the Aegis sails still through the eternal night, through the bones of forgotten galaxies, carrying the spark that will one day reignite everything.